Rodney first developed Parkinson's signs over 35 years ago. He was in his mid-30s, and he started developing Parkinson's symptoms. Back then, they were not diagnosing early onset Parkinson's very readily. It took 5 years for him to actually get a diagnosis, and so it was a long road to get that diagnosis before he was finally put on appropriate medications. We handled it at home over the years with the help of some wonderful doctors and medication. Then the last few years, I had to have somebody come in and take care of him while I was at work. He could not stay by himself. That worked okay, except when I was home, the caregiver went away, and I was with him 24/7, and it was physically demanding on me to take care of him, and also, quite frankly, emotionally and mentally, and so I'm not sure that I always gave him all the good attention that I needed to. It's tough being a caregiver. When it was finally time, I felt that he needed a higher level of care than I could provide him at home. I started looking at assisted living opportunities. I went to tons of them in the Tulsa area, and the first thing I would do would be go in and I would smell it to see if it smelled good. I would see if the staff looked happy, if the residents looked happy, and I would ask the marketing person, do you know about Parkinson's? And of course, they all did, because that's an old people's disease. What I soon learned is they don't. The first place that we had him live was an assisted living place that was close to the house. That was the main reason that I chose them. And it was very evident from day one that it was not a good fit. Every day I was expecting the head nurse to call and say, you've got to move him, this is not a good fit. In fact, she had several meetings with me saying that she didn't know how much longer that they could try to have him there. I didn't know to question them, because for all I knew, this is how all the assisted living in town was. The medications were a huge deal, because with Parkinson's, you have to have medication when you're supposed to have your medication. The law says they've got an hour window before the time and an hour window after the time. So there's really a 2-hour window. And as long as they got it within that 2-hour window, they were happy. Well, for some diseases that may work. For Parkinson's, it does not. It's extremely important to have your medication on time, because it can mess up the rest of the day, the rest of the week. It takes a long time to get the body re-regulated with the correct medication. That was difficult. The assisted living where he was, I always waited for that phone call saying I needed to move him. And it finally came. And I was told that I had 30 days to find a higher level of care for him, because he just could not stay there. Well, I didn't know what to do, because for all I knew, that's what all the assisted livings were like in town, and I knew about the level that I needed to ask for. I didn't feel like he was ready for full nursing and having to share a room with somebody else that was comatose maybe. I felt like the assisted living was the right choice, but I needed to find the right one. So I started my search again to try to find the right place. This time I had the right questions to ask, and I wanted to know more specifically how much they knew about Parkinson's and Rodney's specific condition. And I came to Saint Simeon's to look at it. It was very obvious the minute I drove into the driveway at Saint Simeon's that this was a great possibility. The guards at the time, and I don't remember who it was that day, but he was just wonderful, directed me to the right place. I walked in, it was immediately just clear that this was the right place. It smelled good, it looked good, it was sunny, it was bright. The staff, I would watch them interact with the residents, and they all acted like they actually liked the residents and they wanted to be here working. And they didn't know I was standing back watching. They just did it naturally. And everybody was that way. Everybody looked like they should be here. The residents were smiling. The residents seemed happy. They seemed engaged. They had things to do. I just knew from moment one when I stepped in that it was the right place to move him. The next step was to bring Rodney here and let Rodney roll around and see if he liked it too. And we agreed together that this was a good place for him to come. And so we brought him here, moved him in. From day one, I knew it was a perfect fit. I didn't go home and worry every day that they were going to call and say, it's time to move him. I've been out of town several times since then. I never worry that they're going to call and say, no, he did this, or you got to do this, or whatever. I just know they're going to take care of him. And in fact, they really take care of me too. They're really good about making sure that I take care of myself, and that as his primary caregiver, that I'm taken care of.